are mine now. You belong to me. Today we're going to play a new fun game.
Hello and welcome to the Twin Peaks podcast. My name is Dan.
My name's Nicole.
Hello, Nicole.
Hello.
This is a movie-based podcast. We're giving each other the thumbs up. You can't see that, but we're giving each other the thumbs up because this is like the third or fourth time we've done this intro. And I gave a little thumbs up to say, I feel good about this one.
Yeah.
Don't know, maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll go for another take.
Another 20.
Let's not do that. So we're going to be talking about one British film, one Aussie film. A British film being 24-Hour Party People and the Aussie film being Two Hands, which is a Heath Ledger film. After that, we'll pick our films and theme for next week. And this week, it's your choice. And you have chosen something, haven't you? Something that I would never have thought of in a million years.
Neither would I, but we'll go into that a bit more later on.
Okay. Our last section is Stitch Up. And last time, you lost on the voting polls and you had to watch a talking cat. You sound very impressed with that. Talk about it later.
Yeah, let's not talk about it right now.
All right then. All right.
God. Anyway,
before we get to all of that craziness, let's do the first bit where we just talk about anything we want. Have you got anything to talk about this week, mate?
Well, I did virtual camping again on the weekend. I only joined in on Saturday, so in the evening we did trivia, movies, history, sports, and then also there was a bonus round. So there was like some puns that we had to figure out, some music tunes, and there was also a video on with different scenes from movies, which was quite funny. They put our friend's Michael's face on like the famous characters. There was 10 movies that we had to figure out. I think we got all of those correct. Well, you would bloody hope so. I do a movie podcast. I should know.
Should be a pro. Should be like the Rocky of the movie trivia world.
Oh, there was food and drinks as well.
Virtual food?
No.
Someone emailed you a banana.
Yep. Pina colada.
Pina colada.
If you like pina colada. I do love a pina colada.
So do I.
Pina coladas, mojitos.
That's what we should drink now. We should, do you know what? A new podcast rule. Every time we record, we've got to drink pina coladas.
Done. I'm getting the ingredients next week.
I'm fucking writing it down, mate.
On the list.
I could smash a pina colada right now. It's exactly what I need.
Can't remember the last time I had a drink. It was at someone's house. Oh, at my bestie's house before lockdown, probably.
Blimey.
Blimey.
Cool, blimey,
Holy
governor.
Fucking shit.
Oh, yeah. As it's the Aussie versus Brits episode, and I'm going to go full British stereotype. Oh, so you had a wonderful old time doing your trivia and your virtual picnic.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I have to say, I never used to really enjoy trivia, but since lockdown, I've been loving doing trivia.
I enjoy doing it. The thing is, I love going to a pub, and then sometimes there'll be like, there's a pub quiz on tonight, and randomly you enter it, and every time I'm excited because I think, I'm all right at general knowledge, but I'm not. I'm terrible. We get to the quiz and I'm fucking awful. The one thing I can do is films. That's the one area. I'm rubbish at sports, I'm rubbish at geography, I'm rubbish at history, anything that's not films.
They had a question about Formula One.
Oh, I might have got that one.
And they were saying who won the most, champion? Is it championships? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, Schumacher.
Yeah. I think it's 7. Yeah, Schumacher.
Yeah.
Michael. And I was like, I was mentioning that, on the podcast we were talking about Prost and Senna. I go, Prost won 4. They're like, oh, no, it's 7. I'm like, well, it's definitely Schumacher. And they're like, oh, is he a Formula One driver? I'm like, he's definitely a Formula One driver.
He's the greatest Formula One driver of all time.
That's about it for me. What about you? What's been going on?
Well, my week's not been anywhere near as exciting as yours, mate. I've done very little. I mean, it's been a good week. I can't complain.
Yeah.
So I've been watching a lot of films. I watched. I started off with a show actually, a series that I've been watching all through lockdown, on and off. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and that makes me. It's very easy to digest. Little 20-minute episodes, pretty funny. And then I got onto some films. I've watched Upgrade. I watched that again because that's come on Netflix. Have you seen
That's
it?
Australian.
You're right. It is Australian. Lee Whannell directed it. Shot in Australia. Great film. It's great. And did you say you have seen it? We haven't.
I have not. But you and Albert were going to do it for his birthday pick.
We were. We picked it for his birthday picks. But I don't think that's ever going to happen. It hasn't happened yet.
We need to get him on.
I know.
One week when we're feeling a bit lazy about choosing a topic, we'll be like, oh, let's just do Albert's one and get him on.
Yeah, we'll have a little rest. We'll put our feet up and just let him go for it. I watched The Terminator, which is an old favourite of mine. Always watch that.
What's that about? I'm joking, mate. Relax. I know what Terminator is.
And then I watched 1917. And then I watched. Well, listen. The thing is, like, I wouldn't be surprised if that was a genuine question. You haven't seen a lot of films.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Which we're slowly starting to fix.
Yeah, 1917.
Yes, which I've been. We picked it for. I picked it for my British picks last time. Been meaning to watch it. Finally got my surround sound up and running again, and I didn't want to watch it without surround sound because of the score and stuff. So I didn't enjoy it as much as the first two times I saw it. Only because I know it reasonably well now, but still that music and some of those scenes still.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's
brilliant.
One take and everything.
Yeah, it's great, and I suppose that the beauty of having it on Blu-ray now is that I can rewind it, and there's that part where he gets knocked out and he's passed out for a time, and then he wakes up, and then it's dark, it's night time, and then the camera sort of goes forward and it goes through the window and then goes down the building. I watched that about 6 times, rewinding that and watching that. Yeah, still good to watch. Saturday night, I sat down to watch a film, what is called The Guest, which is directed by Adam Wingard. It stars Dan Stevens, and it's a good little action thriller, I guess. It's a good film. It's got a great synth score, which I've been listening to. I've been tearing the arse out of that this week, actually. That's a British thing. Is that a British thing or an Aussie thing?
Tearing out of your ass. I guess we would, mate. We might say that.
Well, I say it. Been tearing the arse out of that soundtrack. It's great. But yeah, I had a great time watching that. That was a lot of fun. I'm surprised I've never seen it. I never heard of it. I'm looking forward to watching it again, hopefully through some surround sound so I can really turn up that synth. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed watching that. And then I ruined it by watching Blade Trinity, which is terrible. I fucking hate Blade Trinity. I don't know why I watched it, to be honest.
Did you just want something easy to watch?
Yeah,
just
I was
like
very... Yeah, I was in one of those I'm not quite sure what to watch moods, and my brain was a little bit fried, and I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll just put Blade Trinity on. Because I watched Blade 1 and 2 probably within the last year, and they're great. But Blade Trinity is just fucking dog shit. It was the poo of the dog. And then I watched Mallrats, which is an old Kevin Smith film from the 90s, which is it's a bit of fun. And that's it, mate. That's everything that I've watched this week, apart from the podcast films, which we'll talk about later. What have you been watching, mate?
What have I been watching? I watched Booksmart. I finally watched Booksmart this week.
I thought you watched that last year.
I think you're thinking about Age of 17.
Yeah, I know you watched that.
No,
I know you watched that.
Booksmart.
No, because I thought I put it on a list last year, and I thought you watched it. I know you watched Edge of 17 because you were quite surprised that I chose that. But I thought it was the same with Booksmart for some reason. What did you think of it?
It was pretty funny.
It's funny, isn't it?
Oh, fuck me. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I watched a couple of Aussie films this week. You know how I said Two Hands was like Keith Ledger's first film?
Yeah.
He actually did a film which is not correct. 10 Things I Hate About You just came out like maybe 3 or 4 months before
Okay.
Two Hands. But Black Rock was his first ever film that he's been a part of. He was only in it for like 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Wasn't a lead character. It was alright. I mean, if you want to go on YouTube and watch it, it's free to watch on YouTube.
All right. Well, I don't think I'll bother with that. With that.
No.
With that gleaming review. How could I resist? It's all right. Oh, I can't wait to watch this.
Yeah. Heath Ledger double bill. Let's not put that on there. I watched The Nightingale. It's quite violent, and there are scenes that you will turn away from the TV, but it's really well done. Jennifer Kent, who directed The Babadook.
Oh yeah.
She directed this film.
Okay. And
watching The Nightingale, I was like, oh, now I want to watch The Babadook, but I probably not this week because I need something a bit uplifting, not too dark. And Babadook is quite gruesome, isn't it?
No, I don't think it is. No, I've only seen it once a few years ago, and I don't think it was gruesome. Really, I don't sort of view it as a horror film, really. Listen, it's been a long time since I've seen it, so I'm not really qualified to talk about it. But no, I think that's okay. What's the Nightingale? What sort of film was that? Was that horror or
well, they consider
drama?
it a horror, but it's more drama thriller, I would say. I mean, there is horror bits in it, but yeah, it's about this Irish convict that is living with her husband and child, and she's waiting for papers from the lieutenant, so she's not a convict anymore, and she's been waiting for months about it to get these papers, and he's like keeps on refusing. He's like, oh yeah, I'll send him off shortly. Anyway, there's a bit of a disagreement, and then she seeks revenge on him.
Okay.
And that's all I'm going to say.
It does sound darker than Babadook. Definitely. Definitely.
Filmed in Tassie as well.
In Tassie?
I love Tasmania. In Tassie, where the Tassie Devils are.
Are they? I mean, they're not real. Everybody knows that they're just cartoons, mate.
No, there is such thing as a Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, all right. All right.
Yeah, I'm being serious.
Yeah, all right. Also, Cubby Broccoli invented the broccoli.
I mean, there's drop bears as well. If we're gonna go down that path, you know what drop bears are. Drop bears.
Drop bears?
Yeah.
Never
They're like a koala, but like fucking evil. They just drop on you and kill you.
This is not. Fuck off. You're winding me up. They just fall out the sky. Do they?
They fall out of the tree.
It's raining. It's raining bears. Hallelujah.
What else I watched Amelie.
Oh, did you?
Which I haven't seen that in a very long time because I was listening to Foodie's Spotify music. I saw you put a fair few tunes on that. Yeah,
well, I've got my own Spotify film sort of playlist as well. So I just picked out all my favourite ones from that. I've had it for ages because I listen to it when I'm running and stuff. Like Captain America gets me going when I'm running.
Oh yeah.
So when I saw they were doing that, I thought that was a great idea. So I was well up for suggesting a few bits.
I suggested it was the trailer for Unorthodox, the tune on that from Santa Gold, which apparently they enjoyed. The last thing I watched, I wanted to watch something. I just want to put something in the background, not to focus on it, and it's called The F Word, but there's another title. There's an alternative title called What If?
It's a Gordon Ramsay show.
No.
Oh.
That would be the perfect title for Gordon Ramsay.
I'm sure that exists already. It's Gordon Ramsay just saying fuck in a restaurant. Which is every Gordon Ramsay show.
Hell's Kitchen.
Fuck yeah. I can't stand Gordon Ramsay.
Oh really? Oh yeah.
He's just a bellend.
That's a very British word. Bellend.
I think the Aussies should adopt that. I very much enjoy saying bellend.
the F word. They've done 2 different versions of this film, which pissed me off when I watched it the other day. And like the ending, it wasn't just the ending that they changed. They changed the whole dynamic of the film, and they just ruined it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my little rant about that shitty film that I watched this week. They should have kept it without the corny ending that I watched on Monday.
Sounds like you need to watch some better films, mate.
Yeah.
Like The Terminator or Shaun of the Dead or...
Yeah.
What's
Top
The Guest?
Gear.
Top Gear?
Cocktail.
What's Top Gear?
Oh, Top Gun.
Fuck no, I can't stand Top Gun. I can't stand it. It's crap.
I haven't seen it.
Don't watch Top Gun. Watch The Terminator before you watch Top Gun.
1, 2, and 3? No, 3 is not that great, right?
One and
just
two.
1 and 2.
Don't bother with any others. Are we done?
We're done.
So let's move on to section 2 then. And this was my choice of theme. And I chose Aussies versus Brits. And like I said, we got 1 Aussie film, 1 British film. We usually do a bit of research into our topics. Haven't done that much research. Was considering doing kids' games. I don't really know why I had that thought. And I quickly lost interest. So I've come up with something else, right? I'm going to ask you, I'm going to say a name to you of an actor. And you've got to tell me whether they're British or whether they're Australian.
Oh, brilliant.
I haven't got a name for this quiz. Maybe we can come up with something, but we could do... I was thinking about putting a Quizmaster jacket on and getting little cards made up and doing a little theme tune. But I don't know, should we make up a theme tune now?
Yeah, go on.
All right. I think that's the Supermarket Sweep theme tune. Can't use that. Get done for licensing. Right. Okay. So I'm just gonna ask you. I'm just gonna say some names at you, and you've got to tell me whether you think they're Australian or whether you think that they are British. First one, Jason Clarke.
Jason Clarke.
Jason.
British. He's probably not.
He is Australian.
I went with my gut. It's Australian. Okay.
That's 1 cross for Nicole, 1 tick for Dan. That's how this works.
Whatever.
Right, Angela Lansbury.
Oh, that sounds very British.
Yeah, she was in she was in Murder, She Wrote. Maybe that should be our quiz theme tune. All right, 1-1. Right, next one. Errol Flynn.
Look at me, Dad. Look at me. Errol Flynn. Okay, Aussie.
Correct. Ding, 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 ding. Errol Flynn was born in Battery Point, apparently, a place called Battery Point.
I've heard of Battery Point. Don't know where it is though.
I never have. All right, 2-1. 2-1 to the Aussies. Next one. Mm-hmm. Kate Beckinsale.
She's British. She's definitely British. Is
that your final answer?
Oh, Kate Beckinsale. Yeah, she's British. No.
Yeah, she's British.
Well, okay. I was going to say unless she's moved over.
No, she's British. You're right. Okay, next one. Mia Wasikowska. She was in that film we watched a couple of weeks ago. Only Lovers Left Alive.
Oh, she's definitely Aussie. She's definitely Aussie,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. You're good at this.
Yeah.
Should have chosen a different quiz. Right, I've got 2 more. Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons. Oh. I don't want to go Aussie.
That was a very interesting sound effect.
Okay. Jeremy Irons. What has he been in?
Die Hard 3. Dead Ringers. Cronenberg film.
I'm gonna say British. I'm probably wrong.
Correct. Oh, this is a landslide. I've got 1 more. Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman. Gary Gaza.
Gow.
Gary Oldman. I'm going to say British.
Yeah, with a name like Gary, he's got to be British. Is anyone that's not British called Gary?
Yeah, I know Gary.
You have
Gary's quite
Garys?
yeah, we got some Garys. It's a very old name, I would say. Not quite.
Yeah.
I don't think the youngins these days you wouldn't call your child Gary.
No, I find that very odd.
Gaza.
There's a lot of names that I think would be weird for babies. If you had a baby, come on, Gary, I'll read you a bedtime story. It just don't sound right, does it?
Do you call Gary Gaza?
I mean, I guess so.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know any Garys.
No.
I don't think I've ever known a Gary, actually. I'm trying to think of a Gary that I've ever met. I must have met a Gary. It's quite a common name.
I used to work with a Gary back in the day.
What was he like?
He's not a Gaza, though. He's all right.
Yeah.
He's Maltese, though. He's not very Australian.
So there are loads of Garys. We've established that there are loads of Garys. You don't need to be British to be a Gary.
No.
And people say that we're wasting our time with this podcast. I don't know why they would say that when we come up with things like this.
Oh, good. I enjoyed that, mate.
Good. Right. Should we move on to the films then? We've got to talk about Two Hands and 24-Hour Party People. Which one should we do first?
Let's do Two Hands first.
Okay, let's do it. So, Two Hands. This was your pick from last week, an Aussie film.
Mm-hmm.
Directed by Gregor Jordan, 1999, 103 minutes long. The tagline on Letterboxd is, "It was only one mistake, but it was a big one." A 19-year-old finds himself in debt to a local gangster when some gang loot disappears and sets him on the run from thugs. Meanwhile, two street kids start a shopping spree when they find the missing money. Right, so the budget was 4.4 million and the worldwide box office apparently was 5.5 million. The cast is Heath Ledger as Jimmy, Rose Byrne as Alex. I thought she was Australian, actually. She was on the list.
Australian.
Yeah, sorry, I thought she was British. I thought she was British, and she was on my my Aussie or Brits list. And then when I put this film on, I was like, I guess that answers that question then. Brian Brown as Panda, and randomly Con from Heartbreak High, I noticed, in a very minor role.
Heartbreak High? What's that?
Can't
Is that
believe
a
you don't know
TV
what
show?
Heartbreak High. Yeah, it's an Australian TV show. Used to be on after the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air on BBC Two.
Oh, okay.
It's a really bad show, but I used to watch it. So basically, Heath Ledger is Jimmy, and he's sort of a bouncer, and he's kind of got aspirations of working for Panda, who's this kind of local mob boss stroke gangster. He's got a handlebar moustache, and he wears very long socks and boat shoes. So it's quite a simple. I'd say it's quite a simple film. I mean, the plot's very simple. There's a few sort of interwoven, I wouldn't say storylines, but characters that sort of feed into what happens in the film. So you have got to sort of keep an eye on it. But the setup is very simple. Heath Ledger loses 10 grand and he's got to try and stay alive, basically, before Panda kills him.
Yeah.
So what made you choose this one?
So because I thought it'd be a film that you've never really heard of before.
Yeah.
It's a classic film, and it's got Heath Ledger in it. What did you think of it?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I just thought it was pretty good. Which I was sort of struggling for things to say about it, to be honest, because I really enjoyed the setup. So I really liked how it got into it quite quickly. I did kind of like how it got into that beach scene quite quickly. But after that, I felt it dipped for about 20 minutes, half an hour. I found it a bit of a drag. I found that middle section a bit of a drag. And it was only the part where Con from Heartbreak High came in, where I was like, oh, it's Con. But that wasn't really to do anything to do with the film. And then I really liked the ending. I really liked how it ended.
Mm-hmm.
So I quite liked the start, loved the ending, didn't love the middle part. Yeah, it's middle of the road for me, this film, I would say. What about you?
I mean, there was a few funny scenes in this film. Like, you know, Jimmy's lost the money, and then Rose Byrne's character, you know, she's a love interest, and they decide to go on a date, and he's trying to get away from Panda and his mob. And anyway, he gets caught, and they take him to the beach, and they're about to shoot him. And the guy that shoots the gun, it starts sparking.
Yeah.
Because the bullets went through the wash, or they were in, I don't know, laundry powder.
There was something that jarred me a little bit, because during that scene, they cut to the kid who had a gun in his mouth. And I found that just a bit of too much of a shift from sort of dark. I mean, it's dark comedy. Someone's about to get shot.
Yeah.
But it was funny, and I was laughing at that. And then it cut to the kid with a gun in his mouth. And I just found that a bit like, oh, I mean, fine, do that. But I just, for some reason, that jarred me, and I didn't feel like it felt a bit out of place to me. And that was I think that was one of the reasons why just things like that I just thought, yeah.
Another thing that made me laugh was, so they're doing the robbery, and the and
that was brilliant.
The main guy, he goes behind the counter and like gets all the money and stuff. And this is Jimmy's first robbery, mind you. And then the main guy comes back, jumps over the counter, and then he lands on the ground and passes out. That was pretty funny.
I thought he was dead. So when he was like, oh, he's passed out, I was like, oh. But yeah, no, I thought he was dead. But that really made me laugh. That scene, I thought that was great. That ending definitely rescued this film for me. Definitely. Yeah. So what did you think of this film then? Did you enjoy it?
Second time round, I enjoyed it a little bit more. What about you?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I'm really sort of struggling with this one myself, because I haven't really got a strong opinion either way. I don't love it, I don't hate it. So I always struggle with films that are sort of middle of the road for me, because there's very little for me to sort of talk about. There's nothing I loved, there's nothing I hated. So there's no extreme. So I just go, yeah, that was all right, that bit, and that bit was all right as well. Yeah. It's a 6 out of 10 for me. It's a 6. It's 6. What about you?
I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
It's not too bad.
Not too bad.
Shall we talk about 24-hour party people?
Yeah, let's move on to 24-hour party people, the British one. And spoilers, I think the British might win the quality of films this week, mate. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah, so my pick was 24-Hour Party People. It came out in 2002, directed by Michael Winterbottom, 117 minutes long. The tagline on Letterboxd is "Share the Ecstasy," and the synopsis reads, in 1976, Tony Wilson sets up Factory Records and brings Manchester's music to the world. I couldn't find a budget for this one. The worldwide box office was 2.8 million, apparently. I bet you the budget was quite a bit more than that. There's a lot of music in this film. There was some that they couldn't get licensing for. A lot of it obviously was integral to the plot of the film. It's all that Joy Division stuff and Happy Monday stuff. I don't know what the licensing agreements would be nowadays, given the history of Factory Records, which we'll get into. But I imagine they spent quite a lot of money on music. So the cast: Steve Coogan as Tony Wilson, Shirley Henderson as Lindsay, Andy Serkis as Martin Hannett, Sean Harris as Ian Curtis, John Sim as Bernard Sumner, Ralph Little as Peter Hook, Paddy Considine as Rob Gretton, and Lenny James as Alan Erasmus. And there's loads of other people in there. Rob Brydon pops up, Simon Pegg's in it, Peter Kay who is in there as well. There's a lot of comedy faces in this film. Tony Wilson, he was a kind of local news anchor in the 70s, and he was heavily into the Manchester music scene. And he came across a band called Warsaw, who later became Joy Division, who later became New Order. And they kind of set up Factory Records. They bought the Hacienda, which is a famous nightclub that was around in Manchester in that period. And it's about the music, really. They even say in the film it's not about Tony Wilson, it's about the music. What did you think of this film?
First time round.
How many times did you watch it?
I watched it probably 2.5 times. But then when I watched it the second time on my own, and I absorbed, what the story was about and the music scene in Manchester.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a bit more.
My favourite scene in this is where after Ian Curtis kills himself, the band continue, but they change their name to New Order. And there's a part in it where Tony Wilson is doing a voiceover, or Steve Coogan's doing a voiceover, and he's talking about how they're carrying on as New Order. And they're playing a version of Blue Monday, which you can't hear anywhere else. You only hear it on this film. It's a minute and a half long, but it's a really special version of the song, I think. So I love hearing that, and that's playing over the background while Tony Wilson receives like a mock-up of the sleeve for the album, and they find out that they're going to be losing 5 pence on every one, but I don't care.
Oh, yeah,
I don't care. That's one of the things that I really like about this film, is that it is about the music. And Factory Records, they didn't sign any record labels. The artists got to keep all their music. It wasn't a viable business plan by any means.
He signed it with his own blood, no?
Yeah. It wasn't a viable business plan by any means, but it was about the music, and that's what I like about this. It's about the art and the music, and it's not about the money. That's probably one of the reasons why I find this story quite appealing and the way it's told. And I find it very funny. I find the humour very subtle in it as well. I do find Steve Coogan's delivery nicely subtle in some of the lines. Yeah, I said before, but I really enjoyed the performances in this. I think everyone is fucking spot on. Like everyone that we read out in that cast earlier, I just thought were absolutely brilliant.
You know, Stephen Coogan, one of his first comedy gigs was at the Hacienda.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Coogan had actually been to the Hacienda, and he was sort of around during that music scene. His older brother was in a band, and so his brother was playing in places like the Hacienda, and so he was always sort of around that. So he had a personal interest in this film as well, which was quite interesting to see or hear about anyway.
The club originally, it wasn't doing very well at the start. Was it more the bands that they had at the club? It was just like they would have gigs and it would be like maybe 4 or 5 people just lingering around.
I really don't know, mate. They started getting really busy, but they weren't making any money because no one was buying any booze because everyone was offering on pills.
Buying pills.
And the only people making money were the drug dealers.
Yeah.
So so any profits that New Order made on their Blue Monday release, which was the biggest selling 12-inch of all time, went back into the Hacienda. So they didn't really make any money out of it at that time anyway. That's what they say in the film. I don't know if that's true, because they take some artistic license in some of this film, which you have to when you're telling a story. But I really liked the way it was shot. I loved the fourth wall breaking by Steve Coogan, how he's talking to the camera. Particularly that opening scene where it really sets up the film well, I think, that opening scene with the hang gliding, because it's Steve Coogan on a hang glider.
Yeah.
And it's cut with actual footage of Tony Wilson doing the actual hang gliding. And Steve Coogan does the voiceover, but it was one of the few parts of the film that was shot on film. And it sets it up really well, because obviously Tony Wilson is flying and then he crashes a little bit. I don't know. It felt like very in keeping with the character and in keeping with what comes later.
Like when after the gig, they go in the parking lot and had a bit of fun with a couple. I probably shouldn't say this.
Sex workers.
He's having he's having a bit of fun. His wife catches him, and then she goes back into the club, and then she hooks up with some other guy,
Howard,
and you see that. Yeah, that's right. And you see them you seeing that happen, and then he's like, "Oh, get me the keys," and walks out. And the real Howard's there. He's like, he says that actually never happened. He's like, but don't. We should always go with the. What did he say?
Print a legend.
Yeah, print the legend.
Yeah. There's a lot of quotes in this that I find very interesting, and Tony Wilson seems like a very interesting character. I think the bit that made me laugh the most is where Paddy Considine says to Steve Coogan, "You know what your problem is. You know what your issue is. You know what your problem is." And Steve Coogan goes, "What?" He goes, "You're a cunt." He goes, well, actually, I did know that. I did know that. I loved that. I thought that was great. I enjoy watching this. I didn't enjoy watching it as much as I used to. I loved the first half. And after that first hour, I didn't enjoy the second half as much. I think because it was the Happy Mondays. And the story's very good, but the Happy Mondays just pissed me off. I found them fucking annoying. And I don't particularly enjoy their music, really. There's a couple of tunes that are all right. But they weren't talented musicians, were they? They didn't seem like it.
They seem like a bunch of dickheads, really.
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know the history of Happy Mondays too well, but it seems to me like they just went into a recording studio and then the producers just made them sound half decent. I don't know. Because live, they sound like they were a fucking load of shit. I don't know. Maybe they just improved. Who knows? I didn't enjoy this as much as I used to, but it's still a solid 8 out of 10 film for me, this. 10 years ago, this might have been a 10 for me.
Really? Wow. No. I'll give this a 7. I mean, maybe I need to watch it a few more times to really embrace it.
But, I don't know. I think if I wasn't into the music, it might be a 7 for me. If I wasn't into the Joy Division stuff as much, then I think I might be along the same lines. But it does give it that little extra bit of for me, and that and the New Order stuff as well. All right then. So Aussie v Brits done. The British one was better. That we've established that. We'll
have to just do it again later on.
We'll do it again another time. All right. So let's move on then to picking the films for next week, and this time the choice is yours.
Yeah. After doing Italian cinema double bill, I was like, okay, I'm not going to do a language one. But my sister-in-law, it's her birthday next week. And I was like, oh, since it's your birthday, you're turning 30, we're in lockdown, why don't you choose a topic? And originally she said Turkish comedy. And I was like,
that's very niche. That's very niche.
I know. And I was just like, I told her, I'm like, I couldn't even find that many comedies that I would be interested in seeing. She goes, all right, let's do Turkish cinema. I'm like, all right. So Turkish cinema for this week's topic.
Okay.
One of the films that I've chosen was a comedian that she likes, and he's done a few films. And the rest were just some Turkish films that might be interesting to watch.
Randos.
So here are my 3. So number 1 is...
That's number 1.
Number 1 is The Wild Pear Tree.
Okay.
Number 2 is The Chaos Class.
Okay.
And number 3 is Sibel. Sibel. Sibel.
Okay,
Sibel.
cool. Right, my picks are Money Trap, Satan, and Slipstream. Okay, I'm going to knock out Sybil. No, am I? No, actually, I'm not. I'm going to knock out The Pear Tree.
Okay.
Is it a film about a tree?
No, it's not. It's not a film about a tree. Okay. I'll get rid of Slipstream.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we're now left with, in my list, Money Trap and Satan, and in your list, The Chaos Class and Sibel.
Shall I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So The Chaos Class, I'm not going to attempt to say what it is in Turkish.
I think you should, really.
All right. Hababam Sinifi.
Nailed it.
Apologies to anyone who is Turkish listening to this podcast. It was filmed in 1975.
Okay.
The synopsis is lazy, uneducated students, mostly coming from money, share a very close bond. They live together in the dormitories of this private high school, where their daily plan their daily pranks on teachers or the other classes. So that's the chaos class.
Is this a comedy?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds like it.
Apparently, it sounds good. Apparently
Pranks.
it's good. Pranks.
Okay.
Grandi Mangazzini. I think it'll be better than that.
Don't poison my brain with that film.
Okay, Sibel. So synopsis. It was created in 2018. It's 95 minutes long, and the synopsis is: 25-year-old Sibel lives with her father and sister in a secluded village in the mountains of Turkey's Black Sea region. Sibel is muted, but she communicates by using ancestral whistle language in the area.
Drama.
Yes, I
Okay.
would say.
Okay. How long was the chaos class, mate?
Ooh. 188 minutes.
Fuck off. 3 hours? 3 hours.
Oh, hold on, wait. No, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. that was Pear. That was
Oh, thank the Lord. I'm glad I knocked that one out.
I don't think it's that long. I would say it would be under 2 hours.
Okay, so my first pick was Money Trap. And I must admit, I didn't have a clue about this. When you chose Italian cinema, I struggled with that. But I know even less about Turkish cinema. So I was going through Netflix and YouTube, and I couldn't find really anything. The first one that sort of interested me somewhat was called Money Trap, and that's why I chose it. So that came out in 2019. It's 121 minutes long. The synopsis reads: Asim Noyan swindles people with his lies and games. Asim Noyan and his gang, who no one else has been able to catch, get into a ruse again. I think it might be a translation issue there. It doesn't read very well, does it? There's a gang and they do some gang stuff. Gangsters.
Money heist stuff.
Money heisting. They probably heist some things, and they probably what genre is it? Didn't say. I think it might be like a comedy crime sort of caper. I don't know. Reviews aren't great. The reviews aren't great, to be honest, looking at it. But I was sort of struggling, so I thought, fuck it. That's the only one that was interesting to me. And my next pick was a random find for me. It's called Satan. Came out in 1974. It's 100 minutes long. I found this on YouTube randomly and pressed play, and it's the Exorcist theme. This is Turkish Exorcist.
Oh, brilliant.
So, I mean, I'm not going to... There's a synopsis here. let's try reading it. I haven't read the synopsis yet, to be honest. When I saw it was Turkish Exorcist, I was like, well, that's fucking going on the list immediately. 12-year-old girl becomes possessed by Satan after experimenting with a Ouija board. A troubled psychiatrist and an experienced exorcist become the girl's only hope for salvation. So it is basically just Exorcist, but in Turkish. And funnily enough, I found this one and I thought, well, what other versions of films have there been? And I'll tell you what they were afterwards. But Turkish Exorcist.
Wow. I think I might go with Satan. That sounds really bad, doesn't it? I think I'm going to go with Satan.
You're going to go with Satan, are you?
Yeah.
I won't judge you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to knock out Money Trap.
It didn't sound very good, I must admit. When I sort of chose it, and then I saw the reviews and was like, ooh. All right, cool. So Turkish Exorcist we're going with.
Yes.
Okay, Satan. As the Chaos class is not 3 hours long, I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to knock out Sibyl.
Good decision, man.
All right, cool. So, Turkish cinema episode next week, then we'll be watching Satan and the Chaos class. Interesting, isn't it? Cool. Mm-hmm. All right, then. On that note, then, have you got any honourable mentions or any others that you want to talk about?
So, I had a couple of honourable mentions. One was Mustang, but it looked a bit kind of romantic, so I thought, no.
Oh, I saw this. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it would be something you would be into.
I think that's why I didn't put it on my list.
Yeah. Car, which means snow. That looked all right
Okay.
as a potential option. Bal, which means honey, was another option. And
Yeah.
as a joke, I thought Kedi, which is all about cats in Istanbul. I was like, no, let's not go down that road.
We've done cats enough.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cats, so we talk about my Stitch Up film.
Well, I've got one honourable mention actually with Turkish
yes.
with Turkish films. I mean, I was struggling to find 3, to be honest with you, and then I found 4, but I couldn't. I don't think I could live with myself if I put this on the list because it looked fucking terrible, but also sort of hilarious. It's called Dunyai Kurtaran Adam, which basically is Turkish Star Wars, and looks fucking terrible.
Brilliant! That's so bad.
Well, number one, I don't like Star Wars, and number two, it looks like a student film. It looks fucking awful, but it might be quite funny to watch one day. I couldn't in my right mind leave that on, so I didn't put it on. But it's worth mentioning.
Cool.
I'll probably end up watching it at some point. Probably be better than the real Star Wars. That's it. So we were speaking of cats. Segue that I fucked up completely. You've got to talk about a talking cat. How did that go for you?
Okay. Well, I'll do the whole synopsis shenanigans that we always do with these films. So, A Talking Cat, 2013, directed by David de Teo. Anyway, so I don't even know why they've got a synopsis for this because there's this film didn't make any sense whatsoever.
It's about a talking cat. What is there to make sense of?
And synopsis is a mysterious talking cat uses its powers to communication to enrich the lives of 2 different families and bring them together.
And were their lives enriched? Was your life enriched? More importantly, having watched this film.
Was it enriched, mate? No, absolutely not. I don't know why this guy created this film. It's just rubbish, absolute rubbish. Okay, so yeah, there's 2 families that live in the same neighborhood. One is a father and son, and his dad, he's got a pretty good company, but he's now retiring because I think the company is starting to not do so well. And now he's retired. He's trying to figure out what to do with his life. And his son's a little bit awkward with girls, as you are when you are a teenager, I guess.
Not necessarily just have to be a teenager to be awkward, mate.
Just in life.
Just in general.
Just in general. And then there's another family that lives down the road that's not as well off. And the mum has this like, what was the food?
Cat food?
No.
Sausages?
She was like
Tim Tams. Viscounts?
Let's
Jammy Dodgers.
Let's go Tim Tams.
All right, Tim Tams.
Jammy Dodgers. No.
Tim Tams.
It was like puff pastry cheese puffs. That's what it was. It was cheese puffs. She throughout the film, she's like trying to get a new idea for business, and an investor was interested in her business, which was making cheese puffs. This film does not make any fucking sense. I'll tell you a few things that pissed me off about this film. You know how last week we watched The Death and Return of Superman?
Yeah.
And it's just like people it was just him talking about the film.
Mm-hmm.
The whole film was 2 people just commentating on this film while the actors were talking, which pissed me off completely. Oh,
What? There was a voiceover.
there was two voiceovers over the actors, like explaining what was going on.
You watched the
while
commentary, didn't you?
No, that's how it was. No, I think it was. Well, I think it was part of the film. That was what was on Amazon when you
Right.
looked up the talking cat.
Okay.
There was one funny bit when with the commentary, they're like, "Oh, you know, there's this car going around this mountain." And it's like, "Oh, where's the car gone? Oh, it comes back." Well, is it funny? It's probably just stupid. I don't know. If you had a few drinks or with your mates watching this film, you probably would think it was the fucking most hilarious film ever.
Well, that's sort of what I said last time. Is I'm hoping it's going to be bad in a room sort of way. Do you think they would be able to go and watch this at the Prince Charles and throw cats at the screen?
Yeah.
Cat. Phil was he called
Yeah.
Phil?
No, his name was Duffy. The cat's name was Duffy.
Rubbish.
And it just like, oh, this cat is randomly at our house. So it was randomly at the other person's house. It was funny how they did the voice over with the cat. It's like as though they just imagine you're watching a cat on screen, and the mouth of it talking. It's like you've split its mouth open, and it's just like a little bit of black in between, moving up and down, just like a chatterbox.
Yeah.
It was just stupid.
I watched a review of this, and one of the things that they noticed was that when the cat was moving around, you could see the laser pointer that the crew were using to direct the cat around. Apparently, you could see it.
Brilliant. I didn't notice that.
I mean, it can only have one conversation, though, can't it?
Every human, he can talk to every human, but he can only have one conversation with that human. And once that conversation has happened, then there's no going back. So sometimes, like, just say the first time it ever happened, you're like, oh my God, this, I think it must have been one of the kids. It's like, oh my God, you're talking to me. And then it's like, Mum, come over here for a sec. And then, you know, the cat just stops talking. It's like, why have you stopped talking? And then the guys who are doing the commentary is like, well, obviously, because it can only talk once. Oh,
this sounds really weird. It sounds proper strange.
If you have a few pints and you just want to watch something really stupid, put this on. Highly recommend it if you just want to have a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, I still might give it a go.
Yeah. What am I going to give this film? Half a star.
That's pretty brutal. But good.
Good for you,
What
mate,
for? What's the half for? Just because it's a film.
The half for?
Because it's a film that exists.
You can't give it 0. You have to give it something.
Give it whatever you want. I'm starting to think that I'm going to go into negatives.
Oh, interesting. I'll give it half a star. Half a star.
We've got to find out who has lost the poll and has to watch a stitch up for next week, which you did this time.
Which was a talking pony against Furby Island. I'll be really quick on this because I usually am quite mean with you when I do the stitch up section. So there was 8 votes, and only 2 votes went to a talking pony. So they want you to watch Furby Island, mate.
Okay, a talking Furby Island. That's what I'm going to be watching.
Yes.
Brilliant.
It's only 45 minutes, mate.
Oh, that's not too terrible then. My review will probably be longer. All right, cool. So I'll be watching a talking Furby then. So next poll, I know what I'm choosing for you. I'm going to go first, and it's a film. What is called Drainiac.
Drainiac? Is it going to drain me?
It might do. It might drain you of your energy. So Drainiac, brief synopsis is some teenagers in an old house find that there's something evil in the water. It's meant to be fucking terrible. But again, in a sort of entertaining way. So what are you going to give me? I
thought, we're doing Turkish films this week. Let's keep it Turkish. It's called Delia.
Okay. It's a romance, isn't it?
Maybe. A woman desperately seeking of a man's love. When she finally arrives, she overlooks him.
Sounds suitably toilet.
Tradiac doesn't sound too bad. I don't know. We'll see.
Gorepress did an episode on it.
Oh, I might have to
Maybe listen to that.
listen to their episode.
Yeah. Right. That was our Aussie Brits episode. Next time we're doing Turkish films. We're going to be watching Satan and the Chaos Class. I'm going to be watching a talking Furby on an island. And the next poll is going to be Delia versus Draniac. And I'll put that poll on, probably be on tomorrow or right now. Head over to my Instagram to vote for Nicole to watch Draniac, please. That would be wonderful. But yeah, all right. So where can people find you, mate?
But on social media, they can find me on Instagram at Nika Creative or Chica Nika. What about you, mate?
If you want to catch up with me, I'm on Instagram at flick.face. Email the show at twinpixpod@gmail.com. Should we do our Chuck Norris bit now, where we just say goodbye to Chuck Norris?
Yeah, I need it. Have you emailed him yet?
No, I haven't actually. I haven't yet. I can't find his email address. The police won't give it to me. Yeah, so if you made it this far, thanks for listening, and we'll catch up with you next week. Bye.
Boy, Chuck Norris.